About that, none of your business. Yeah, that's that old school right there. That's my man, Brother Jay. Yeah. All right. So look, we're gonna continue what we did yesterday. Got some new news on that. It's gonna flow right through. So we just gonna take a little ride down a social media stream, giving people time to get up in there. So got some good ones. Think y'all like them.
Aren't you embarrassed by this? A great fighter having to fight.
A mandatory that's by the rules. I have to fight because they would do like Roy Jones didn't want them to do before he fought John Ruiz.
Don't tell me about anybody else.
If I didn't fight, Larry, stop being ignorant. If I didn't fight and defend my mandatory with the WBC, they would have stripped me. And I don't care what you say or anybody else say. This is my life. It's my prerogative. You do your job, I do mine.
You think anybody wants to see this kind of fight again?
Well, it don't matter if they want to see it again.
Well, how do you get paid if nobody wants to see it?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm not leaving out here without a check tonight. So let me tell you something. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what kind of degree you got, but I got paid tonight.
But I can assure you it won't happen again.
Well, I'll tell you what, Larry. Unless you got powers other than being a commentator, then that's a part of the business and part of the problem. So since you exposed that to the world, let's move on to other issues. I want to fight the junior middleweight champions, the so-called the best. Hold up.
Isn't it embarrassing for the middleweight champion of the world to be calling out junior middleweight champions?
Well, junior middleweights is only 5 to 6 pounds away from middleweights. I mean, junior middleweights always been middleweights. Come on now, Larry. 15 years ago, they didn't have junior weight classes in boxing. It was welterweight, middleweight. Come on,
all
now.
Right.
Isn't it embarrassing when other fighters call each other out in different weight classes? So why is this so different? Because it's Bernard Hopkins?
Yeah.
Are you part of the system or are you with the system?
Winky Wright has stated he wants to call you. Do you want to fight Winky Wright?
Well, is Winky Wright paying me or who's buying the fight? It depends on what the licensing fee is. It depends on what my share is. I don't fight just to be fighting. I did enough of that on Philadelphia streets in Philadelphia for free. So yes, I will fight anybody, but the fight is no problem. You got to make the fight. The dollars got to make sense, and we can move on and you can see better fights, Larry. I don't have an attitude. I just want to get paid for my labor like any other working class citizen in America.
Well, it looks like tonight you got paid for doing not much.
Let me tell you something, Larry. You get paid every day on the TV for not doing much. Wow. All right.
So we're going to talk about this, right? We killed Gaddafi. We knocked him off the motherfucking
Right, sure,
face,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? You're like, absolutely. But as a black person, I saw slavery return to Libya. I saw a man who was willing to help black people in their plight and their struggle by giving billions ignored. I saw someone who wanted to unite Africa under one currency and have a potentially United States of Africa. And I saw that crushed. And as an American, I had to shut the fuck up, go with the Republic. But that's something, if I ever had a chance to talk to Obama, I'd really say,
So you see Gaddafi, good guy.
whether Gaddafi was ultimately in my eyes good or bad.
I mean, the people who
better
are
than what they have now. But I can't see any president I have as a good guy. I love Obama. The symbol of Obama is up in my motherfucking house. He's a black man. He became president, and he did more drone bombings than any other U.S. president before him. He and Hillary Clinton disturbed a country called Libya, in which you used to have a free house, free education, free, and now it's not free anymore. And there are people who look like me that aren't free because we're just picking sides right now. And George Carlin said years ago, you know, it's a club and you ain't in it. What we're doing is picking members of the club who are going to fly on a jet together afterwards, whether they're Democrat or Republican. They're buddy-buddy. They went to Harvard, they went to Yale, they went to Morehouse, they went to Howard together. They're still going to be friends after. The bourgeoisie and up, that class is going to be okay. But we, the working class, people got to wear shit like this to work every day. We're going to get fucked over in this. And people who wear shit like this every day usually do this and say yes sir or no sir.
You know, it was a very repressive dictator.
I hear what you're saying. We're living under one now. We ain't storming the fucking White House. How long do the French get to fucking live off Haiti, Libya, West Africa? How long before you got to ante up what's in the Louvre? So we took Libya. What have we done to help that country become democratic and get back in a better state? What have we done to help Haiti do? Haiti is the reason we got Louisiana and West of that. America really owes Haiti. We kicked the French's ass so bad, it was like, fuck this, we'll sell New Orleans. Y'all have the Saints, y'all have Donna.
I mean, we can stay mad at the past forever, but at a certain point, you got to move forward and make things better in
I'm
the
not
future.
saying I don't want to move forward. I'm just saying put something in my pocket for your socket. Adherence to the United States Constitution and the understanding that that Constitution can transform. It can be amended. It can be grown. I personally think the 13th Amendment needs to be re-amended so that we don't have an excuse for slavery, period. That ends the need for private and state prisons in the same way, reduces the prison population from what used to be 500,000 over 2 million now. But I think that soldiers do have a responsibility to adhere to the Constitution. I think if you're sent in on orders to disrupt a First Amendment constitutionally protected thing, I think as a soldier, you should say absolutely not. I'm not going to do that.
Man, that boy was spitting right there. That boy was spitting right there. Jumping around a little bit, but main points. Got the main points. Stick with the main points. Oh, that is Killer Mike, ain't it? Dang, I didn't even recognize him. Yeah, that boy was spitting. See what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
To see this video.
If Mr. Black and Mr. White live next door to each other, they have the same job, the same income, the same car, the same furniture. Yeah. They both walk out of the house in the morning. Good morning, Mr. Black. Good morning, Mr. White. But Mr. White is still looking, but you got something that I don't have.
You're saying he's saying,
hey, dodge the black and white, dodge the black. Let's focus on the words outside of the titles.
saying that
He's
subconsciously.
saying,
Now, wait a minute. All right, we'll give you a chance in just a moment.
In reality, white skin is a genetic recessive status, not as said by Francis Welsing. Even though the white population says that people of color are minorities, you're genetically inferior because you are non-white. That it is the white population that is the minority, the minority on the planet.
That's the reality.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
That in spite of the fact that black people, non-white people have heard over and over again.
Meaning that if you and I were to have a baby, the baby would have color, and you make the contribution and I don't.
That white
So
plus
what?
colored, well, wait a minute. It's not Francis Welsing that is concerned about the disappearance of white. There have been multiple articles in the newspaper talking about the decline of Western populations.
Here, incidentally, this was the percentage of the West's population in 1900, the turn of this century, about 30%. This is where we'll be less than 10% in the year 2075. Here's where we are about today, 15. So we're not having babies.
So whites are not having babies, and there is the concern.
Y'all heard that, right? Now, this is Donahue. This is a long time ago.
Concern about white genetic annihilation. In other words, I look at, this is Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday holiday, and people will say, well, here's a man who talked about love. Why was he killed? And I say that the deeper logic is, what if all black and white people and non-white people and white people love? What would happen to white people? White would disappear. You see, just mix all of the people on the planet up
In other words, if
together.
race didn't matter, or if color didn't matter, it follows with the jet plane.
No, I'm not saying if it didn't matter. I'm saying that indeed, if there was a mingling, if we mixed all of the people presently on the planet, stirred them up,
The white freckle-faced people would be gone.
genetic recessive status would disappear, because we have the greatest genetic potential to cause white genetic annihilation.
Because you're the blackest.
Because we,
The most color.
right, we have this ability to produce melanin pigment. We have more of it than anybody else. And so the most pressure is on black people.
Everyone needs to see this video.
All righty. Interesting.
The United States Postal Service sent a letter to every single trucking contractor. As of May 1st, No non-domiciled CDL driver touches a mail route without being screened and badged by the Postal Inspection Service. USPS moves 55,000 truckloads every single day. 200,000 drivers could be affected. Did you know that many non-citizens were handling your mail? They tried this back in October and it collapsed within a couple days. They said that they underestimated how many drivers were actually out there. Now they're trying it again. 2 weeks from today. Is this finally protecting American truckers, or is your mail about to be 2 weeks late? Follow for more and check out thehoodtrucker.com. I got something waiting on you over there.
Interesting. Interesting. Now we're gonna get into a little comedy right here. Next few is gonna be some comedy. Then we'll get into the meat.
Yeah. I don't use hand tools. I mean goddamn air tools. Nigga, I'm putting this bitch together by hand. Fucking with a nigga with integrity. Watch me do this shit. This is how you put a water pump on, nigga. A brand new water pump. See that gasket? You don't need no glue. Put the shit together. The correct way, nigga. You take your hand and tighten that shit up. I always start my screw by hand because I ain't finna strip this shit out. Why my boat stripped out? Because they did it with air tools, nigga. I start my boats by hand. Motherfucker. Y'all see that shit? See that shit sitting up there?
Let me get that before you spit on me.
I don't give a fuck. I ain't got no teeth, nigga. I spit on everybody. There we go.
There we go.
Right there. Talk this bitch on down. Not with air tube, motherfucker, but with hand tube. I don't start a goddamn thing with an air tube. You got to get it in before you can work it.
Yeah. Say that.
Everybody, I want to get it in.
Everybody, you gotta get it in before you work it.
Nigga. By hand.
You like the sound of that, don't you?
No, I like the way it feels. This real nigga shit. Yeah. See, real nigga. Water pump installed, baby. Look at that bitch come to life.
Man doing it.
No packet. Cereal with the can, the powder, no.
Oh, the powder burp. No burp. What the hell is this?
Waffles, no syrup. Jelly, no jelly. Nothing. Oatmeal, no sugar. Oatmeal, no sugar. Nothing. I ate cereal with the can, the powder, no mirth. Ate cereal with the can, the powder, no mirth. I ate noodles with no packet. Cereal with the can, the powder, no mirth. Waffles, no syrup. Jelly, no jelly. Nothing. Oatmeal, no sugar. Oatmeal, no sugar. Nothing. I ate cereal with the can, the powder, no mirth. Ate cereal with the can, the powder, no mirth.
Oh my goodness. Man, he was serious, wasn't he? Boy, he hit that little move real quick. Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Hey, bro, he said stop dancing and pay attention to the road. That's what he said. That's what he said.
I know you, bro. You TikTok famous.
No, no.
You are.
You one dumb bitch. I told you. Them young boys, they don't play that shit. Motherfucker pull a gun out of your damn ass, I'm gonna jump the hell back and let you shot your ass. Oh, fucking man.
But that's what you told him. That's what you said.
I was in the car, they ain't hear me. You gotta roll that fucking window down and tell shit.
Man. Gotta laugh. That shit crazy.
Hello.
Oh man.
Hey, that when they're hey, man, I need to talk to you about something. You got some time? What you need? I'm having a problem with my car. What's wrong with you? Where you at? Is you in the area? Where you at? You busy? Yeah, I'm busy, son. What you need? I had somebody come over and look at it. What's wrong with you? Well, I keep moving the gears on the truck, right? And something wrong with the transmission? No, sir. So when I put the gears, when I put it in aura, it started going backwards. Hold on, motherfucker. Repeat what you said. Wrap it up. Repeat what the fuck you just said out your mouth. Hello? Yes, sir. Repeat what the fuck you just said out your mouth. You said when you put the car in what? When I put my car in that letter aura, my car started going backwards. You stupid motherfucker. R stand for reverse. So when you put the motherfucker in there, it's supposed to go backwards, you stupid son of a damn. You just an old remedial motherfucker. I told your mama she should have put you in special ed. No, listen. But why is it moving backwards on aura? Robert Earl. Yes. If I put my foot up your ass, what's that gonna do? I don't know. You tell me. Well, we gonna fuck around and find out. Motherfucker, when you put the car in drive, it drive, don't you? I haven't tried to put it in. Which one is drive? Is it deep? Because I know when I go in R, it's still going. You son of a bitch. You old easy motherfucker. Robert, what's wrong with you, man? Why you want to fuck with me every day? Man, you don't get tired of fucking with me. No, I'm just trying to drive this car right. You can't drive. So when you motherfucker, I know how to drive. I know when you put the some bitch in reverse, it's gonna go backward. So that's what that is. Yes, you dumb dizzy motherfucker. Okay. Oh, it's working. It's working now. Okay. Wait, look. I got something. It fix it even better. Have Leah get in there and put it in reverse and stand behind it and see what it do for you. What? No. Yeah, stand behind it and see what it do, you old dumb motherfucker. Get out my goddamn phone. All right.
Oh, and he said, stand behind it. We'll see what it do. Oh, man, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. Yeah, it do, don't it? Sound like Eddie? All right, we're about to get serious. Back to getting serious.
Third term. If I were to bet good money on it, in 2028, I think Trump stays in office. How he will do so, I'm not completely sure of, okay? And there are different possibilities. It's possible.
Now, you remember when we left off when I was showing when Trump was debating Schumer and Pelosi, right? When he said he was going to shut the border down, he said, yeah, he could shut the government down. Now, this just came across my feed, and this kind of confirms what we were saying. Because remember, I mentioned Roosevelt spent 4 terms in office during that war.
There's a war going on, in which case he can suspend the Constitution. It's possible that he runs as vice president and his son, Don Jr., runs as president.
See, and this is the other thing. This is why I keep saying that 1933 action suspended the Constitution. That's what's been happening. And it's the same way. It's like Trump seemed like he's doing something in reverse.
And then Don abdicates. There's actually nothing in the Constitution that prevents people from doing that. What prevents people from doing that is convention, morality, norms, values. Donald Trump doesn't care, right? He's fighting for his existence. He's fighting for his life because everyone knows once Donald Trump leaves office, what will happen? The Democrats will use everything that they have to destroy this guy and his entire family. For sure, 100%, okay? So there are different possibilities. But I think in 2028, Donald Trump will still be president of the United States. In which case, the question then is, what does he want to accomplish? Well, what he wants to do is this. He wants to transition America away from the global economy, which case the global economy becomes a parasite on America, right? Because America is the one paying for all the defense. American consumers are the one buying all the products. America is the one who's financing the entire global economy. So he's like, why are we doing that? Screw that, right? So what he wants to do.
And see, and that's the number one issue right there. What he just said. Americans are paying for all the products. Most of these products that are coming overseas into America are not being utilized anywhere else but America.
Do is make America into a North American continental fortress. He wants to absorb Canada, Greenland, Mexico. The countries he's talked about that he's pissed off are what? Denmark, Canada, Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, Honduras. That's the entire freaking North America. That's something called the Greater North America, which Peter Hegseth has talked about, and which, if you go back to the 1930s, it's part of something called the technocracy movement, the technate, right? And the grand vision is, you know what? If we create this greater North America, we have labor from Mexico, we have resources from Canada, we are self-sufficient, and the rest of the world will beg us for our resources.
Hey, get back. I'm pulling up that CNN thing you sent on Telegram. And like I said, none of your business as they still arguing the 14th Amendment. Oh yeah, they still arguing it. That thing is active.
Right? And then we'll be very wealthy. And you know what? This vision is correct. I completely agree with this vision. I think Donald Trump is correct to try to achieve this vision. The problem is this means destroying the current status quo. This means destroying transnational capital. This means upsetting the current elite. So they're going to fight you tooth and nail. For example, Canada.
All right. So that kind of confirmed what I was saying yesterday. And this is what's pretty much going on. This is why they really want to take dude out. Because they already know what time it is. They already know what they've done to America. They already know what they've done to the United States of America. They know what they've already done to the people. They know what they've allowed into the country on this continent. They know what they've done, and it's out of their hands now. They can't even control it. I mean, they're either going down with the ship or they're already singing like a bird. This, if you pay attention, you're actually seeing a lot of actors, a lot of rich people and stuff like that are just kindly donating a lot of money to the United States of America, putting in services. Because during that time, they only had a couple choices: get down or lay down. I know a lot of people don't think that's real. That's real.
Something to think about. Police are part of administrative law. Administrative law means that you go in front of an administrator, not a judge, an administrator. But administrators only have the ability to administer the estate of a deceased person. Now, a person...
I need you guys to listen to this straight because I'm going to be talking about this.
Person is a 14th Amendment corporate federal citizen.
All right, none of your business. You got that, right? Got that? We getting there.
Which is the estate of a decedent, right? The estate of a decedent is a person. Now, a corporation is an artificial person or legal entity created by or under the authority of the laws of a state or nation. So it's under the authority, that's jurisdiction. Now, according to the obligation and interest on the public debt, the corporation gets their money from the treasury. They get it from bonds and notes. They get their money from your notes. See, notes. Now, your treasurer is known as your exchequer. It's the exchequer's chamber. See, the Treasury Department. So you're a decedent, which is a deceased person that has dealings with the exchequer through the police and the administrators, meaning not only are you dead, but you're also in hell, which is the exchequer chamber, where all the debtors are confined, which is why you haven't been paid, because money isn't a note. See? Does not embrace notes, bonds, evidences of debt. This is an evidence of debt. You've never been paid for anything in your life because the corporation is supposed to take care of your bills, your checks, and your Federal Reserve notes. They do all that for you because you're in debt to them. So they take all of the real money and give you bullshit in exchange because your bills, your checks, and your Federal Reserve notes are already paid for. See, that's a debt, not money.
All right. Now, there's a lot of people that are full of fear. Let me let y'all take a look. Yeah, I'm here. I'm real, not Memorex. But a lot of people are afraid. But tough as to acting, boy, I tell you. Tough people. But when you talk about this, boy, I tell you, they get a yellow spot so fast. And they think you making something up and you're reading it out of the books that has been written. On top of that, you have people that actually claim that they come from indigenous Aboriginal stock that created the greatest of structures known to man and mankind. But when you talk about this, they become cowardice for some reason. I wonder why. This is why I say, are you a slave or are you free? I mean, do you have strength? Do you have power, or you just weak? And what do you how do I say this? What do you consider to be strong and what do you consider to be weak? Is it cutting the next man off at the knees? Is it disrespecting them verbally? Is it acting like that you the baddest motherfucker in the world? Is it that you actually put in work in the streets and another man didn't? That's the issue. But people are scared of this information. So what is the alternative? The alternative is go get a job, go pay your bills, pay your taxes, assume a position, and do what you are told. And if that's your lane, let it be your lane. That's it. You see? It's about as simple as that. But when it's time and things change, because it is, and these results start coming through, don't come knocking on the door. I'm not that kind. And I don't forget. And this is where everybody, if this is what time you're on, this is how you need to be. Don't sit back and wait for somebody. You know, people say, well, I want to see you do it, and then I'll do it. No. Not happening. You know, but if you sitting back and you supporting, and then you can come on in because you already staying in your lane, you staying in your position. See, but people that cross the line and then sit back when it's time for the funk, you know, those people can't come in. And that's where it's got to be. I don't care what they claim. They are. Because at the end of the day, everybody's been sold that same story if you look like me or some shade of me. That's the bottom line. But this is what you call black letter law. That's what it is. I didn't make it up. Nobody else made this. It's in the books. And it's being utilized every day. It's just about how you interpret. And that's what I'm saying. You don't go stick your neck out for somebody, you know what I'm saying? If you know they're going to fall all the way back. That's just the way it works. But anyway. Now, let me clear these things out. Let me clear these out. And we'll get going. Man. Tell you, some of these content creators be funny as hell. All right. So, when we was talking about yesterday, Bills of Exchange Act and Negotiable Instruments Law. Basically, Bills of Exchange Act, 1882, and then you come into 1893, which is the Negotiable Instruments Act and law that actually came into Washington, D.C. You see? Now, what a lot of people don't notice is that if 1882 Bills of Exchange Act, right, came through, and then it came into D.C. in 1893, where did it originate from and who was utilizing it? You see? So, I'm going to go right here to where this guy was talking about 31 USC 3123. Okay? This is payment of obligation and interest on the public debt. This is the code he was talking about, right? So it said the faith of the United States government is pledged to pay, right? Remember yesterday when I was talking about pledging, right? So you pledge on an obligation of the person to pledge in the obligation. So the faith of the United States government is pledged to pay. What does that mean? The United States government and the officials therein, the people that was operating the United States government at that time, pledge once they decided to change the whole spectrum of payment, did become liable for all debts, public and private, and then became the constitutorial government. And it was only done because they could not pay their debt. Now, the faith of the United States government is pledged to pay in legal tender, principal and interest on the obligations of the government issued under this chapter. The Secretary of the Treasury shall pay interest due or accrued on the public debt. Didn't say may. It says the Treasury shall pay interest due or accrued on the public debt, as the Secretary considers expedient. The Secretary may pay in advance interest on the public debt by a period of not more than 1 year, with or without a rebate of interest on the coupons. Now, everybody think a coupon is something you pull out of a book and you go to the grocery store and use that for a discount. Well, that's not the only thing. Now, C. 1, the secretary may issue a bond, note, or certificate of indebtedness authorized under this chapter whose principal and interest are payable in a foreign currency stated in the bond, note, or certificate. The secretary may dispose of the bonds, notes, and certificates at a price that is at least par value without complying with section 3102B through D of this title. In determining the dollar amount of bonds, notes, and certificates of indebtedness that may be issued under this chapter, the dollar equivalent of the amount of bonds, notes, and certificates payable in a foreign currency is determined by the par of the exchange value on the date of issue of the bonds, notes, or certificates, as published by the secretary. Now, let's go to 3122 because it says right here, what is, now this says banks and trust companies as depositaries. When people talk about the trust and everything, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people, if they've heard the conversation, they say funding the trust, right? The trust is complete once it is funded. How do you fund a trust? Well, it says right here in this definition that trust companies as depositaries, right? The Secretary of the Treasury may designate incorporated banks and trust companies as depositaries for any part of proceeds of an obligation issued under this chapter. Now, we just read that the obligation is whose? The Secretary may be prescribed the conditions under which deposits may be made under this section, including the interest rate on amounts deposited and security requirements. The Secretary may designate a bank or trust company that is a depositary under Section A, subsection A of this section as a fiscal agent of the United States government in selling and delivering bonds and certificate of indebtedness issued by the government. Now, under the circumstances, right? Let me translate this. Based on what we read before in 3123 and what this is saying in 3122, that these are the channels, I should say, to go in regards to those obligations being deposited in order to settle the debt, settle the public debt, because everything that comes out based on the definitions is considered to be debt. Now, we're going to go to 31. Now, let me do this real quick. I'll give you this overview. I didn't ask for it. I just put in this right here. I just put that in right there. Now, remember the last video we just listened to, how he just kind of broke that down real quick. Now, this says 31 U.S.C. 5118, discharge debt. I was just putting in the code. But check it out. It says 31 U.S.C. 5118 outlines the legal framework for discharging certain types of debt, particularly those related to public debt obligations. Remember 31 U.S.C. 3123. All right. It specifies the conditions under which individuals can seek to have their debts discharged and the necessary documentation required for this process. 31 USC 5118 outlines the legal framework for discharging certain types of debt in the United States. It specifies the conditions under which individuals and entities can seek relief from financial obligations. Key elements. Not all debts qualify for discharge. Commonly eligible debts include certain public debt obligations and specific financial obligations. All right, now this is 31 USC 5118. Now, on its face, you would say, what does this have to do with discharging debt? Remember 3123, what we just read. Gold clauses and consent to sue. In this section, but first, let's go to the notes. And here's what it gives. Right here. You take a snapshot of that. I'm not going to read all that if you want. Or you could just go to 31 USC 5118, Law Cornell, and click on notes, and you'll be able to get this. I'm just scrolling down slowly. You guys take a look. Subsection C1, before Clause A, the word government is substituted for United States for consistency in the revised title and with other titles of the United States Code. Okay, so it's giving you the basics on how you can actually understand the words and what it's referring to. All right. So in this section, gold clause means a provision in or related to an obligation. Okay, we're going to trim it up a little bit. Bam. All right, to give the obligee a right to require payment in gold. Listen closely. Let me start over again. In this section, gold clause means a provision in or related to an obligation alleging to give the obligee a right to require payment in gold, a particular United States coin or currency, or United States money measured in gold or a particular United States coin or currency. A2, public debt obligation means a domestic obligation issued or guaranteed by the United States government to repay money or interest. Now, we'll go down to D. In this section, obligation means obligation to accept United States currency payable in United States money. 2, an obligation issue containing a gold clause or governed by a gold clause is discharged on payment dollar for dollar in United States coin or currency that is legal tender at the time of payment. All right. This paragraph does not apply to an obligation issued after October 27, 1977. Now, what happened then? What happened then, that was when Richard Nixon was in office. Richard Nixon actually pretty much closed out and ended the gold standard because it was still being utilized. That's why it says this paragraph does not apply to an obligation issued after October 27, 1977. All right. Now, we're going to go over here to two, so we can understand, right? If you actually get into a contract and you get a credit card or loan, remember we dealt with loans and extensions of credit, right? Under 12 USC subsection 84. If you go get a loan or a credit card, who guarantees it? Or who does the company that you're seeking to get this loan or extension of credit tell you who's guaranteeing it? That's right. They say it's you. You are guaranteeing this loan. You're guaranteeing this extension of credit by your social security number, your date of birth, your identification. All right. So if that's the case, why is this A2 saying that public debt obligation means a domestic obligation issued or guaranteed by the United States government? So it's saying the United States government is guaranteeing it. You see what I'm saying? So look, when you're dealing with it like that, are you really guaranteeing it? I'm just posing a question. You see what I'm saying? I'm just posing a question. Who is actually guaranteeing these public debt obligations? But a lot of people will think, and like the system is actually programmed in some of these questions. You say, well, is this considered a public debt obligation? Then they'll probably say, no, it's not. But we just read 12 USC section 84, what that actually said. And we're going to go back to that, but we also are going to look at 18 USC. Let's pull it up. 18 USC section 8. You see what I'm saying? So under that circumstances right here, obligation or other security of the United States, which includes various forms of currency and financial instruments like bonds, Federal Reserve notes, and checks. Okay, so we're going to go right here to 18 USC subsection 8. The one guy mentioned that too as well. Here it is. We have another obligation or other security of the United States defined. When we go to the notes, it says that right there. Hold on a sec, y'all. So right here, it says, you know, when you're dealing with that right there, words Federal Reserve notes, words Federal Reserve bank notes were inserted before coupons because such notes have almost supplanted national bank currency. So from there, we're going to go over to, oh yeah, I hit the wrong thing. Boy, it threw me off. All right, let's get back focused. All right, so look. So it says the term obligation or other security of the United States includes all bonds, certificate of indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes, Federal Reserve bank notes, coupons, treasury notes, gold certificate, all down here. And stamps, right? Bills. They say, well, no, bills don't mean bills. Okay, bill is a bill. You remember I showed yesterday the Bill of Exchange Act says that a bill is a bill of exchange or a promissory note. So when you get a bill in the mail, that's what they call it, a billing statement. It's called a billing statement. All right. And also they have right here, cancel stamps. What does that mean? Never mind. We'll get to that another time. I don't think public ready for that yet. Now, when we get back here, we're going to go back over to 12 USC 84. Lending limits. Right? We're going to come right down here to, where'd it go? We're going to come right down here. Right? Here is person. The term person shall include an individual. It's saying include. Right? So we come down, where to go? Where'd it go? Okay, so right here, loans and extensions of credit. So we call the term loans and extension of credit shall include, and then we're going to come all the way down here to C, any credit exposure to a person arising from a derivative transaction, repurchase agreement, reverse repurchase agreement, securities lending transaction, or securities borrowing transaction between the National Banking Association and the person. All right. So we have that connected with all of these, right? Because we come back over here. The 31, what's this? 3123. And then we have right here, banks and trust companies as depositaries. No, I'm moving fast. I want to get to some other stuff. I'm just giving you some oversight. You guys can always play this back. Now, I went over here and I wanted to go over to banks and banking. All right. I want to go over to banks and banking. What is it? 12 USC 4. Okay, 4. All right. Now, this is the Federal Reserve System, Chapter 3 and 12 USC, right? Now, this is issuance to reserve banks, nature of obligation, redemption. Right? Nature of obligation, redemption. Federal Reserve notes to be issued at the discretion of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System for the purpose of making advances. Remember the word advance, right? Advance. We just talked about that. Advance. Right? Where'd it go? All right. There we go. Advances of funds. All direct or indirect advances of funds. That person to repay the funds or repayable from specific property pledged by or on behalf of the person to the extent specified, any liability of a national banking association to advance funds to or on behalf of a person pursuant to a contractual commitment. You guys with me? Hey, what's going on, business? I'm on the thing, so I can't, not really. I'm looking for my phone, but appreciate you being here. Rod, same to you, brother. Now, let's come back over here. Now it says right here, for the purpose of making advances to Federal Reserve banks through the Federal Reserve agents as hereinafter set forth and for no other purpose are authorized. They said notes shall be obligations of the United States. Right? Right? Okay. Connecting the dots. Hope y'all staying with me. And shall be receivable by all national and member banks and Federal Reserve banks, and for all taxes, customs, and other public dues. They shall be redeemed in lawful money on demand at the Treasury Department of the United States in the city of Washington. I don't know if anybody didn't know that Washington was only a city. District of Columbia. So that area, Washington City, the 10 square miles, is a District of Columbia. Or at any Federal Reserve Bank. So remember, right here, right? National Banking Association. National and member banks, what they call member banks and Federal Reserve banks. Member banks are your credit unions. Because as a credit union, I don't know if you know, but once you sign up with them, you are considered to be a member. Because it say and member banks, okay? So, you see right here, the term banks, National Bank, National Banking Association, member bank, board, district, and reserve bank. So it says district. A member bank is a district. So the District of Columbia. All right. They shall be redeemed in lawful money. Shall. I may. Shall. On demand at the Treasury Department of the United States. In the city of Washington, District of Columbia. All right. This is what we need to understand. I know this might be a little boring, but we really need to understand money. What is and what is not money. Who is liable for the debt? At no point in time have I read at this juncture that any man or woman, flesh and blood, upright walking on 2 legs and 2 feet, was liable for any payments of any debts. You have not seen it yet. It's just about how to apply it. Now, about to go over here. I'm going over here to my Adobe Acrobat. All right. So we're going to start right here with this fiduciary responsibility. If the United States government has the obligation to pay all debts, public and private, then what does that make them? That makes them like a trustee for the people, for all debts. And you remember the act that I showed a few videos back last week when I read the act of Congress dealing with HJR 192 and the payments of debts and how they were transferring everything over into the Federal Reserve Bank in order to pay their debts. And in that language, they said they were liable for all debts. But then in the beginning, they were actually paying out Indians, the Menominee Indians of Wisconsin. Annuities. So if they're a trustee, they are to be fiduciaries, right? So this is American jurisprudence, right? Dealing with public officers, employees, 63. See American jurisprudence. All right, I got that. I got that email. Okay, so it says, as expressed otherwise, the powers delegated to a public officer are held in trust for the people and are to be exercised in behalf of the government or of all citizens who may need the intervention of the officer. Furthermore, the view has been expressed that all public officers within whatever branch and whatever level of government and whatever be their private vocations are trustees of the people. Okay? There we go. There's no getting around this. There's no getting around this. This is what it says. This is what it is. Okay? And accordingly, labor under every disability and prohibition. What does that mean? Disability means that you can't do that. Just like, you know, if you know, I can't jump over a mountain. That's a disability of mine. Can't do it. Prohibition. It's like prohibiting, regulated, something that you can't do. Like disability and prohibition is saying these things that are already put in place that they must follow and do and not do. So disability and prohibition imposed by the law on trustees. Now, where do you find that at? You got the Uniform Trust Code and you got other languages as well. I mean, not other languages, other books, novels. I mean, they're even in novels. Other different type of volumes of books dealing with the law. Okay. So now that is a public officer occupies a fiduciary relationship to the political entity on whose behalf he or she serves. Now, what is that political entity? Let's say to the Indian tribe, that tribal government is considered to be a political entity, or what you would consider to be that person. So that is a public officer occupies a fiduciary relationship to the political entity on whose behalf he or she serves and owes a fiduciary duty to the public. It has been said that the fiduciary responsibilities of a public officer cannot be less than those of a private individual. Now, also that political entity is, if they work for Child Protective Services, Department of Social Services, Child Support Services, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, Congress, Senate, state, local, whatever they might be, if they're in and as an employee, if they are working in something that is considered to be public property or something that is supposed to be made available to the public in order to get these benefits and privileges and necessary tools and services in order to, you know, enjoy your life, you know, like the utility place. That is what you would consider to be a fiduciary relationship to the political entity as well as to the person. Okay. It has been said that the fiduciary responsibilities of a public officer cannot be less than those of a private individual. A private individual is like a private attorney. You have attorneys that work for the district attorney's office, the public defender's office, the attorney general's office, or the federal defender's office. And then you have your attorneys that operate in their own private capacity. You know, they have their own business. They don't work for any of these departments or anything of that nature that is pretty much funded by the government. But even they still fall under this American jurisprudence, public officers and employees. All right. Furthermore, it has been stated that any enterprise undertaken by the public official which tends to weaken the public confidence and undermine the sense of security for individual rights is against public policy. So if anybody is under this title, from the bottom of the bureaucratic system all the way to the top, they all have a fiduciary responsibility. All of them. Okay. Now this is California. Just pulling this up. California, Article 7 of the Constitution, public officers and employees. The civil service includes every officer and employee of the state except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. B, in the civil service, permanent appointment and promotion shall be made. All right. There is a personnel board of 5 members appointed by the governor and approved by the Senate. A majority of the membership concurring for 10-year terms until their successors are appointed and qualified. The board annually shall elect one of its members as presiding officer. Section 3, the board shall enforce the civil service statutes and by majority vote of all its members shall prescribe probationary periods and classifications. Following are exempt from civil service. Okay. So this is something that everybody has in their state constitution. So just as you see it in American jurisprudence, there you have it in the Constitution. All right. Here's Article 1. Article 1. Now here's right here, 6. Slavery is prohibited. Involuntary servitude is prohibited. So slavery, involuntary servitude are synonymous here. So involuntary servitude is prohibited except to punish crime. But it says slavery is prohibited. But then they change it to involuntary servitude, which they consider them to be synonymous. Salute that one chick. Appreciate you being here. Now, right here in the next one, it says a person may not be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law or denied equal protection of the laws. But what is this saying? Anyway, let me keep going. All right. So now, let me get over here to what we have right here. Now I'm getting back to that. That was a quick digression. I want to get over to the Constitution and show you where these things are at. Not really going into it. Just want you to see the references and how to connect the dots. Now, this situation right here, right? Because we're talking about obligations and debts, and what I've been going over is what we could is mortgages and foreclosures, loans, car loans, and repos. You know, why are you getting it taken? What is actually being done at this point? At this point, if Article 1, Section 10 has been suspended, or there has been a national emergency, as has been shown, that suspended the gold clause and your way of paying debts constitutionally. Now, this is a case that happened back in 1968. I showed this before, and sometimes I'm gonna bring some of this stuff back up because I want you to get familiar. This is how I was able to learn, and you know, the situation come up, you come back to it, you kind of rinse and repeat, so you can kind of get a good understanding of how to connect the dots in order to understand the system, right? Because quiet is kept. You know, people be like, "Well, only way you can make money is work hard." Okay, but how are you getting paid? Are you getting paid in gold? Are you getting paid in silver? Is somebody paying you and saying, "Hey, you know what? You need to go over here under 12 USC 411 and go redeem this in actual money." This is debt being set out there. You need to go ahead and redeem that so you can cancel and keep the national deficit down. Nobody's explaining that. But nevertheless, but people really think they out here making money. So, okay. So right here, just a brief overview. Plaintiff brought this as a common law action for the recovery or possession of Light 19 in Fairview Beach, South Scott County, Minnesota. Plaintiff claimed title to real property in question by foreclosure of a note and mortgage deed dated May 8, 1964, which plaintiff claimed was in default at the time foreclosure proceedings were started. Defendant appeared and answered that the plaintiff created the money and credit upon his own books by bookkeeping entry as the consideration for the note and mortgage of May 8, 1964, and alleged failure of the consideration for the mortgage deed, and alleged that the sheriff's sale passed no title to plaintiff. Oh, wait. Now, the issue tried to the jury were whether there was a lawful consideration and whether the defendant had waived his rights to complain about the consideration having paid on the note for almost 3 years. Mr. Morgan admitted that all of the money or credit which was used as a consideration was created upon their books, that this was standard banking practice exercised by their bank and in combination with the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, another private bank. Further, that he knew of no United States statutes or law that gave the plaintiff the authority to do this. Now, this Mr. Morgan works for the bank. This is why you'll never see a banker come into a courtroom regarding any mortgages. This is 1964 starting. This judgment is 1968. And this went all the way up to the Minnesota Supreme Court. Now, this banker came in and testified. This guy is probably the VP of the bank. He admitted it on the record. But this is 1960s, and they're still doing the same thing. They're still doing foreclosures. They still are operating under the same conditions. Now, let me read this again. Mr. Morgan admitted that all of the money, not some, or credit, which was used as a consideration, was created upon their books. That this was standard practice exercised by their bank in combination with the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, another private bank. Further, that he knew of no United States statute or law that gave the plaintiff the authority to do this. Clip that. Plaintiff further claimed that defendant, by using the ledger book, created credit by paying on the note and mortgage, waived any right to complain about the consideration that the defendant was stopped from doing so. So he's actually sitting there saying, yeah, we did that. But look, he's stopped from doing that because he decided not to, so on and so forth. But listen, plaintiff further claimed that defendant, by using the ledger book. So now he's putting all the liabilities back on the defendant. This is why I say about reading the fine print on this stuff. By using the ledger book, created credit, and by paying on the note and mortgage, waived any right to complain about the consideration. So if you are utilizing their method in order to get the credit or whatever that they're talking about, and you make some payments on it, you're actually contributing to the fraud. This is what he's saying. Nah, it's him. He's the one paying. This is voluntary. Whew. I tell you. Okay, at 12:15 on December 7, 1968, the jury returned a unanimous verdict for the defendant. Now, therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in pursuant to the Declaration of Independence, the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, the Constitution of the United States, and the Constitution of the laws of the state of Minnesota, not inconsistent therewith, is hereby ordered, adjudged, and decreed that the plaintiff is not entitled to recover the possession of Lot 19 in said place. 2, that because of failure of a lawful consideration, the note and mortgage dated May 8, 1964 are null and void. Number 4, that the plaintiff has no right, title, or interest in said premises or lien thereon as is above described. That any provision in the Minnesota Constitution and any Minnesota statute binding the jurisdiction of this court is repugnant to the Constitution of the United States and to the Bill of Rights of the Minnesota Constitution, and is null and void, and that this court has jurisdiction to render complete justice in this cause. That defendant is awarded costs in the sum of $75. It's a whole lot of money back then, and execution is hereby issued therefore. A 10-day stay is granted. Get the following memorandum, any da-da-da-da-da. Now check this out. Not done. And for all practical purpose, because of their interlocking, where you go? Plaintiff admitted that in combination with the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, which are for all practical purposes because of their interlocking activity and practices, and both being banking institutions incorporated under the laws of the United States, are in the law to be treated as one and the same bank. Listen, let me say that again. Plaintiff admitted that it, in combination with the Federal Reserve Bank of Minnesota, which are, for all practical purposes, because of their interlocking activity and practices, in both being banking institutions incorporated under the laws of the United States, are in the law to be treated as one and the same bank. Now I'm stopping right there because what I just read prior, right? 3123, 18 USC, 12 USC 411, and 12 USC 84, lending and extensions of credit as well. You're actually noticing that all these banks are the Federal Reserve Bank. They're just sub-corporations. Clip that. Now, under the circumstances, this is 1968. What is it? 2026? Just by happenstance, if I just decide to ask, do some research and say, how many mortgage foreclosures have taken, I'll just say non-judicial. We don't need to worry about the judicial ones where they have to go to court and do all that stuff, even though they're still doing what they're doing. But how many non-judicial foreclosures have taken place after 1970? I'll even give a 2-year break after that, after 1970. And I'll start with Minnesota. All right. Now, it says, did the same bank did create the entire $14,000 in money or credit upon its own books by bookkeeping entry? They admitted that. They created the entire $14,000 in money or credit upon its own books by bookkeeping entry. Wow. That this was the consideration used to support the note dated May 8, 1964, and the mortgage of the same date. The money and credit first came in existence when they created it. Morgan admitted that no United States law statute existed which gave him the right to do this. A lawful consideration must exist and tendered to support the note. See, and okay, there's case law. The jury found that there was no consideration, and I agree. Only God can create something of value out of nothing. That's what he said. Even if defendant could be charged with waiver or estoppel as a matter of law, this is no defense to the plaintiff. The law leaves wrongdoers where it finds them. See sections 50, 51, and 52 of American jurisprudence, second actions. So that's what I just showed you, that when I read the fiduciary responsibility right there, that's 2D, that's second. American jurisprudence, second, and it's dealing with public officers and employees. This is 63C. This is talking about sections 50, 51, and 52. No action will lie to recover on a claim based upon or in any manner depending upon a fraudulent, illegal, or immoral transaction. Right? So Derek kind of mentioned that yesterday, right? Derek kind of mentioned that yesterday. What is common law in a sense, right? You're dealing with morality. Right? And administrative, morals have nothing to do with it. It's all statutory. It's all one's opinion on how they feel it can go. Okay? Now, no action will lie to recover on a claim based upon or in any manner depending upon a fraudulent, legal, or immoral immoral transaction or contract to which plaintiff was a party. Plaintiff's act of creating credit is not authorized by the Constitution and laws of the United States, is unconstitutional and void, and is not a lawful consideration in the eyes of the law to support anything or upon which any lawful right can be built. Nothing in the Constitution of the United States limits the jurisdiction of this court, which is one of original jurisdiction with right of trial by jury guaranteed. Guaranteed. This is strong language. This is why you will never see a man from a bank come walking in testifying about any type of transaction that goes on in that bank, dealing with any extension of credits and loans. Won't happen. Any provisions in the Constitution and laws of Minnesota, which is, did I jump over? Okay, yeah, I did. This is a common law action. Minnesota cannot limit or impair the power of this court to render complete justice between the parties. Cannot limit or impair the power of this court. This is what goes on all the time. These people are coming in looking for summary judgment off the rip. You ain't got no chance because they're limited and impairing the power of this court, of the courts. Them judges can't do nothing. They hamstrung. Those bar attorneys got way more power than them judges. On top of that, you have these judges that are former bar recipients. And some of them still carry the bar license. That's why you hear a lot of them operating, or I would say practicing law from the bench. Like I said, when they open their mouth, automatically out of here. They open their mouth and say anything to me, you're out of here. Don't talk to me. You should be sitting there, shutting up, and letting both sides operate. Let them talk. Why are you talking? (28 USC 454), practicing law. Judges practicing law. It's a high misdemeanor. Now, so any provisions in the Constitution and laws of Minnesota which attempt to do so is repugnant to the Constitution of the United States and void. No question as to the jurisdiction of this court was raised by either party at the trial. No question as to the jurisdiction of this court was raised by either party at the trial. Both parties were given complete liberty to submit any and all facts to the jury, at least insofar as they saw fit. Now, right here, note, it has never been doubted. If you see right here, September 9, 1968, Martin versus Mahoney, Justice of the Peace, Credit River Township, Scott County, Minnesota. No, it has never been doubted that a note given on a consideration which is prohibited by law is void. It has never been doubted that a note given on a consideration which is prohibited by law is void. No doubt about it. See, this is what I'm talking about in regards to doing all the due diligence. Now, I mean, this is what I'm saying. A lot of stuff is, hindsight being 2020. And we say, yeah, if we knew this back then we'd be totally, okay, good. No, got it. Said it, over that, but we're not there now. We're right here. There's no time but right now. Do it now. Ask the proper questions. Have no problems walking away saying no and going out the door. No deal. This is what I want, X, Y, Z. And I know what I want because I know you have to do it. I'm not going to tell you your job. I'm just going to tell you certain things, and you got to do it. So it has been determined, independent of acts of Congress, right? Independent of acts of Congress, that selling under the license of an enemy is illegal. What does that mean? That selling, it's not S-A-L-E, that's like selling like in a boat. That selling under the license of an enemy is illegal. The emission of bills of credit upon the books of these private corporations for the purpose of private gain is not warranted by the Constitution. So this second sentence is explaining what he meant by that selling under a license of an enemy is legal. So what is selling? That's admiralty law. So if you're selling in a boat that you purchased or got done through a transaction, what is considered to be an enemy of the United States of America is illegal. All right. So warranted by the Constitution of the United States and is unlawful. This court can tread only that path which is marked out by duty. Now, this judge was really somebody that was like, yeah, I'm not going for that. And he actually, suffered consequences for it. But, yeah. Now, this is the last part, because this is also dealing with what we just read prior, what we just went over the last couple days. So you guys get a clear understanding what's taking place here. What's taking place here. This is multiple levels. This case is absolutely just set the stage. This right here could have actually got rid of the Federal Reserve and the central banking system and that whole HJR 192 in a snap. Everybody would have jumped on it. All right. So in this forward, it says the above judgment. So this is what happened after the fact. Let me just give you a brief summary. Right. So the plaintiff's attorney wanted to appeal. So the judge told him, look, if you want to appeal, it's going to cost you $2 and you need to get it within 10 days. All right. So let's see what happens. The above judgment was entered by the court on December 9, 1968. The issue there was simple. Nothing in the law, I think that was a typo. Nothing in the law gave the banks the right to create money on their books. The bank filed a notice of appeal within 10 days. The appeal statutes must be strictly followed. Otherwise, the district court does not acquire jurisdiction upon appeal. All right. To effect the appeal, the bank had to deposit $2 with the clerk within 10 days for payment to the justice of the peace. When he made his return to the district court, the bank deposited two $1 Federal Reserve notes. The justice refused the notes and refused to allow the appeal upon the grounds that the notes were unlawful and void for any purpose. Now you got these people talking about, hey, shit, I got money. You know what I'm saying? I got this money in my wallet. Yeah, I got all these notes up in here. Yeah, big money, briefcase, big sack full of money. Yeah. You do? What are you doing with it? Are you getting them redeemed? Are you transferring them? Are you putting it into something that's tangible, that is connected to substance, or are you just playing with confetti? Because regardless if you know or not, you're putting debt into the system and you're not zeroing out your books. You're not balancing the books. You're not reporting the tax to the Treasury so that way the IRS can go get it. That's why the national deficit is so high, because people aren't balancing their books. And this is why you're getting taxed. And this is why most of the time you're not even getting $1 in the refund. You either owing or you get nothing. Because you're not balancing your books. See, you're thinking about it from thinking it from a personal, emotional standpoint. But people were waiting, I need to set me up a trust. I need to do this. I need to do that. No, you don't. It's already set up for you. You just got to get control of it. You just got to get control of it. Let me take a quick break and see what's in the let me see what's in the chat here. Hold on. Let me get my other screen ready. I'm just gonna do the whole entire screen this time, so I ain't gotta bounce around. What we doing here? All right. What we saying? Brother Jay, what you say? What you say? All right. That's cool. Y'all just rolling with it. Y'all listening. Cool. Code and ethics. All right. Yep. Salute. All right. You said help me get my car on back. All right. We can talk about it. Yeah. Under this, the one thing that's important is really just being in honor with the situation. You got yourself in something, you got to go by the proper steps, continue to pay the bill, but execute your consumer rights. You have the right to look at your books, look at the documents, ask questions, see what's going on, figure out a place where you're at in the middle, and then see how you can get this thing figured out. This is like a foundation of what I usually do to show people the law and the different things that are attached to what goes on today versus what went on pre-New Deal. The Constitution says this, but the government and their subsidiaries or subcorporations are saying that. Go in there with gold and silver and see if they will accept it. Well, nowadays, I think they are going back to utilizing it in certain places. But it's still not being made public. For instance, you know what I'm saying? It's not like common where they're actually making what do they call it? Some emergency broadcast, EBS, emergency broadcast, where they cut out all TVs like back in the day. They tapping into all the TVs and all the networks, and they say, hey, as of today, Federal Reserve notes will no longer be accepted as payment. You can take those Federal Reserve notes to your local Federal Reserve Bank or local national bank and get those Federal Reserve notes redeemed in lawful money that we are now going back to, which is gold and silver. All notes, certificates of indebtedness, and we consider to be that, will be this in the list. And we will be sending this in the mail to pretty much everybody. We'll be sending this out. We'll be making public notice of it in the newspapers and all public buildings. We'll be posting it on the walls. Just like they did with the Executive Order 6102, when Roosevelt posted that executive order saying all gold bullion and everything suspended. Now, I'm gonna go over here to where we at? 214. All right, we're making good time here. We'll go over here to my ChatGPT thing. Hold on, let me move that real quick. Let me make sure everything's set up. Let me close that out. There we go. There we go. I'm just gonna go over to my ChatGPT thing real quick, like, and all right, where are we at here? Just people got this little issue with the Uniform Commercial Code. They think UCC. No, it's Uniform Commercial Code. It is the Uniform Commercial Code. Let me go back up here. Where we at? Where we at? All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Now, if what I asked was wrong, or if it did not exist in rules and law, then none of this would have came up. If I go here, this is Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, and I come over here, and I'm over here on definitions, and then I come over here and I say UCC, bam, bam. Okay, what is that? That says Law Cornell. This says Cornell Law School, Uniform Commercial Code, Article 1 through 9. General provisions, sales, leases, negotiable instruments, bank deposits and collections, funds transfers, letters of credit, investment securities, secure transactions. But that's not real. That's not real. That's fake. Don't try it. It's not for you. Boy, it's not for you, girl. Little black boy, little black girl. Better go to work, pay your bills, pay your taxes. That's what you better do. Now, let's talk about the Uniform. This is what I said. Let's talk about the Uniform Commercial Code, Bills of Exchange Act, Negotiable Instruments Act, and the Fed/Federal Reserve Act, and how it relates to banks and banking. Give me a summary and a syllabus so that students will see what I will be seeking to show. Okay. Now, this is what they say. I'm just going to say they. This is a powerful topic. You're essentially tying together commercial law, monetary systems, and banking structure into one framework. I'll give you one, a clear big picture summary, and then two, a structured syllabus you can actually teach from. All right. Yeah, and I'm doing this. I don't utilize this. I'm just doing it right now so it keep me straight. We just get to the right points. This is a quick outline. Now, big picture summary, how it all connects. At the highest levels, these bodies of law all deal with one core idea: how value is created, transferred, enforced, and settled in commerce. Uniform Commercial Code governs commercial transactions in the U.S. Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, governs commercial transactions in the U.S., which is the United States. All commercial transactions are governed by the Uniform Commercial Code, period, point blank, done. Now, especially Article 3, negotiable instruments, checks, notes, and as you see right here, I have done this right here. Where are we at? Did I? Hold on. Right. So we got right here. The Bills of Exchange Act. Remember our definition. Banker, bankrupt, bearer, bill, delivery, holder, holiday, endorsement, issue, person. Value, written. But what is a bill? Bill of exchange and note means promissory note. All right. Now, Article 4, bank deposits and collections. Article 9, secure transactions, collateral liens. The UCC is the operating manual for modern commerce. Okay. Nothing else. The UCC, people say, oh, they're using that UCC stuff. You're using the UCC stuff, you go get people in trouble. What? Okay. 2, Bills of Exchange Act, 1882. Defines bills of exchange. Promissory notes, holder in due course. This is the value, this is the foundation of negotiable instrument law worldwide. Everybody uses this. So don't think that these foreigners coming over here is stupid. They come over here and they know what governs the law, what governs worldwide in terms of transaction. Bill of Exchange Act of 1882 and the Negotiable Instruments Law in DC. So this being the foundation of negotiable instrument law worldwide, why are we, and I'm saying American Indian, Aboriginal, Indigenous people put in suspect classifications as Black, Negro, colored, and African American and other terms. Why are we the only ones not using this? Huh? Why are we the only ones in the world that is not using this? Why are we the only ones trying to talk each other out of not using this? The only people other than us not using it is probably the people up in what they call the Negritos and in the Philippines and all these other places, the Cambodians, the dark skinned, all them people that's living still a regular primitive life. Because they get it from the mud. They don't deal with all that. But I'm pretty sure they have some form of bill of exchange, some form of medium of exchange that they deal. And I'm pretty sure they have their own politics, government, and other laws, and they stick to it. But anybody else in the world is utilizing this, except for us. Clip that. Negotiable Instruments Act of 1881. Similar to the UK Act, but used in India and other jurisdictions. Reinforces transferability of instruments legal enforceability of payment promises, shows how commercial paper law is globally consistent. Federal Reserve Act created the Federal Reserve System, governs issuance of Federal Reserve notes, bank reserves, monetary policy. This defines what money is and how it enters circulation in the U.S. So these three things right here is dealing with money. Is there anything more important than money? Yeah, getting money, keeping money. That's your money sandwich. Getting it, keeping it. What is it is in the middle because we jump over the middle. What is it? Anyway. Okay, the core connection. Here's the key relationship you want your students to see. Commerce runs on instruments, not just cash. Commerce runs on instruments, not just cash. A promissory note equals a promise to pay. A bill of exchange equals an order to pay. A check is a specialized bill of exchange. Did you guys know that? Bet you didn't. A bank deposit equals a liability created by a bank. A bank deposit equals a liability created by a bank. Banks don't just hold money, they create deposits. What was it? What was that? What was that? Created money on their books. Created money on their books, right? Right. Okay. Process instruments, settle obligations. So these are what banks also do. Not just hold your money. People say, okay, my deposit, put my money in the bank. It's cool, it's sitting there. No, they're creating deposits, number one. Off your deposits, they're processing instruments that you signed, and they're settling obligations without you knowing. And you're not even getting any type of recoupment for it. All you see is the $1,000 you put in there a month. Banks operate at the intersection of two systems. Okay, two systems. System, commercial law. UCC, bills of exchange. Role, governs instruments and obligations. System, Federal Reserve System, governs money supply and settlement. That's what the Federal Reserve System does. Money supply and settlement. The bridge between them equals banking operations. Well, okay, just tell me what I'm really teaching. Okay, whatever. Okay, so now it says money is not just physical currency. It is largely ledger-based credit relationships, ledgers. Remember, in this case, it says it created on their ledgers, on their books, bookkeeping entries, right there on the spot. It's saying it right there. This chat GPT is just saying like differently, but it's saying the same thing. But it's admitting also what I just showed you in that case, that these relationships are all ledger-based credit. It's done, it's just typed in. Negotiable instruments are tools of value transfer. Now, you got to know what that means. So we can expand on that another time. Banks act as intermediaries, creators of credit, settlement agents. Now, in 1968, that Minnesota Supreme Court said that's against the law. That's unlawful. That is unlawful. But the ChatGPT is saying it as it is the way of doing things. So what happened during the time in 1968? What happened with that? Did that just get swept under the rug? They said, okay, well, don't touch that. Because that case right here just defeated everything that we're attempting to do. But you didn't have 2 or 3 bank crashes since that time. Behind these, what do we call bad debt? These notes and everything, these notes, these, what they call them, these toxic notes, this contraband, or you ever want to call it, that have no value. That's creating debt in the public. You're putting the people in debt when they aren't supposed to be in debt, and you're adding the debt to the national deficit, and now it's no way to pay it back. You have no way to pay it back. Then at the same time, you have infiltrated the Treasury, and the Internal Revenue Service at that time was then separated, or the accounting branch of the Treasury was then separated from the Treasury, and then started working for private interests. That's why you gave them guns. So now, let me go here. Let me see. Nonetheless, what's going on, brother? All right. Appreciate you being here. I'm gonna do this last little thing, and I'll just continue on. This is what, 2:30? Cool. I made some good time. Yep. I be in my own mind when I'm thinking about some of this stuff. So sometimes I veer off, and then that's why I be tripping over my words, because I want to go somewhere else with it. I gotta stop myself and come on back. Sometimes I get ahead of myself, but I gotta remember where I'm at. So I'm gonna drop the link in the chat right now, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go through. I'm gonna pull this up real quick. I want to go over a couple things. Let's talk about trust real quick. I want to stop right there. I don't want to beat a dead horse with that, because I want to come back to it. Let's go over here to, let me get this out of here. Let me get that out of here too. We're not going to deal with that. All right. This is what, in my opinion, most people are under in these transactions. Okay? This, in my opinion, this is what I think we're under. This is what is considered to be a resulting trust, right? In a resulting trust, and this is not, this is strictly for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. If you ask me if this works, I'm gonna say no, because I don't know what works for you. I know what works for me. All I'm gonna do is put that in there, get you to kind of see what's going on, see if it makes sense, because we all grown adults up here. We're not children, not young, not stupid. We pretty much have been responsible lives, saw a lot of things in our life, and dealt with a lot of these issues that we do all the time. And we put a lot of energy and effort and money and into the system, debt, so on and so forth. Most people really don't have a dime to show for that. Outside you say, well, I got a policy. Do you know how to use it? Why you living? Or is it just waiting until you go? Well, shit, I pay my taxes every year. Okay, what's your refund amount? How much you getting back? In percentage based on what you make. Oh, well, I got these investments here and there. I got stock. Okay, well, what are you doing with that? Are you leveraging it? What are you doing? I mean, you know, what are you doing with your debts? Are you getting those reported? Are you getting clear notifications and accounting from the company that you're dealing with in return these? I'm talking about every single one. Are you doing that? Have you ever asked any questions, or are you already under the assumption that this is the way it is to be done, and it's the only way it is to be done? There you go. All right. So this CJS stands for corporate juris secundum. All right. I also have this here. These are corporate juris secundum notes as well. So this is dealing with trust as well. All right, but we're going to go right here real quick. Resulting trust. Excuse me. Resulting trust. Natures and types. Resulting trusts are created by operation of law. They are creatures of equity and are based on the equitable doctrine concerning consideration. Doctrine, that valuable consideration. Now think about that case at this time that I just showed you. Valuable consideration and not legal title determines the equitable title or interest. Unlike constructive trusts, resulting trusts are not remedial in character. A resulting trust is always a passive or dry trust, a mere holding of the title for the benefit of another. A resulting trust is always a passive or dry trust, a mere holding of the title for the benefit of another. No duties or responsibilities being imposed on the trustee as to the management, control, or disposition of the property, except perhaps to convey the cesticade trust at his direction. Resulting trusts are created where there is a gift by deed or will to a donee or grantee without pecuniary consideration coming from the grantee. But intention appears from the instrument itself that the legal and beneficial estates are to be separated, and that the grantee or donee is either to enjoy no beneficial interest or only part of it. So these resulting trusts is what you would call implied, or just set up in the way that the bank wants it to go. They can't totally not give you any rights or title or interest in the thing, but what they have is disposable. They can dispose of it as they will. They have full control. Why? Because it was endorsed in blank. No specific instructions was given. Extinction of trust. The trustee's recognition and acknowledgement of a resulting trust do not destroy it and create an express trust, where the trustee conveys the property to the beneficiary. The resulting trust is terminated. A resulting trust is destroyed or terminated by the release or surrender to the trustee for the beneficiary's interest. Let me see if anybody came up. Nope. Yep. Okay.
Man, I've been up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got my whole screen sharing, so I can't get back to the Black's Law Dictionary where he was talking about the exchequer and things. So we saw what a bank is. So you saw what a bank is by law, right? I showed you the Chat GPT, right? How they broke those things down in regards to the Federal Reserve System, the Bills of Exchange Act, and the Uniform Commercial Code, how they all work together. Now, I just showed you the definition of a bank, right? Bank and bank, right? You got bank with a C and you got bank with a K. And actually, it's called bunk, right? The absolute proper way to say it, right? So we have the exchequer, the Department of the English government, which has charge of the collection of the national revenue. Semicolon, the Treasury Department. So the Treasury, you have the Treasury Department. And then is the exchequer? So a lot of people always focus on the Secretary of the Treasury. And then you have the Treasurer. So we're going to look at these difference of what these two actually do. All right. Once we get through this Black's Law Dictionary, we're going to call it. Unless other people want to come up. We're going to work fast in this. So if you, like I said, when I get at that 2:30, I'm going to put the link in the chat. You come up. You got 30 minutes to do that. If you don't do it within 30 minutes, we out. All right. So it is said to have been so named from the checkered cloth resembling a chessboard, which anciently covered the table there, and on which, when certain of the king's accounts were made up, the sums were marked and scored with counters. For Court of Exchequer and Court of Exchequer Chamber, see those titles. Exchequer bills, bills of credit issued in England by authority of Parliament. Okay. All right, so we got that. Now we're going to go to money. We're going to go to money. Money. No, we're not. We're going to go up here to insurance. I just saw it. I want to know what the definition of insurance is. See, these you only use sometime. So everybody has some form of insurance. Let's see what insurance is. Insurance, a contract. So insurance is a contract whereby for a stipulated consideration. So there's consideration involved, and then we'll go back and we'll look up what consideration is. One party undertakes to compensate the other for loss on a specified subject by specified perils. The party agreeing to make the compensation is usually called the insurer or underwriter. Remember, I was talking about these underwriters, right? The insured or assured with an A, we'll look that up as well. The agreed consideration, the premium, the written contract, and policy. The events insured against risk or perils in the subject right or interest to be protected, the insurable interest. Contract whereby one undertakes to indemnify another against loss, damage, or liability arising from an unknown or contingent event and is applicable only to some contingency or act to occur in future. So, your insurance policy is a contract. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back here. We're going to look up consideration. We're going to look up assurance. All right. Let's look up what consideration is. Hopefully I ain't messing up your eyes by going so fast. All right, there we go. There we go. Consideration. A technical term indicating that a tribunal has heard and judicially determined matters. All right, let's go with contracts. That's what we're talking about here. The inducement to a contract. So this inducement, the consideration, is considered to be the inducement to create a contract. So to induce somebody to do something. Right? You say like women when you're pregnant and they want to induce the labor pains so the baby can come out. Right? The inducement to a contract, the cause, motive, price, or impelling influence which induces a contracting party to enter into a contract. The reason or material cause of contract. So it's the reason or material cause of a contract. There's no consideration. Why would I want to contract with you? So people say, well, I thought I was getting some consideration. Provided consideration. What do they provide? This is where we get back into the other things I was mentioning earlier. Paper game. Consideration is not to be confounded with motive. Consideration means something which is of value in the eye of the law, moving from the plaintiff either of benefit to the plaintiff or of detriment to the defendant. Nothing is consideration that is not regarded as such by both parties. And price and consideration, though sometimes the same, are not always identical. Inducement for a contract is that which influences the acts, while consideration means the parting with something by the one from who it moves. Yeah, all that wild talk. So that is what's consideration. And then you have all these different types of consideration. Okay? So that's consideration, something of value that is by operation of law. So if I go in, for example, if I go into a bank and I say, yeah, I want to get this house, I need some bread so I can get this house. And they say, okay, well, we need to do X, Y, Z, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, I'm not the value. The house is not the value. The house is not the consideration. It's not the something of value that the bank is giving me. The something of value is what I'm paying the owner for right now. That's the something of value. That's one transaction. That's one contract, one agreement. I pay you this, you sell me the house. I get the house. Agreement, that's the contract. The consideration is the house. Now, if I'm going from me to the bank, the alleged consideration, as we looked at the daily case, bam, let me go to the highlighted place. Here we go. Right? That because of failure of a lawful consideration, right, the note in mortgage is null and void. Right? So it's null and void under the circumstances that we have today. Right? As we see here in this 1968 case, consideration by means of what this company came to court to do a foreclosure against Daly was for the simple fact he did not pay. What he came back and said, there was no consideration given by this bank. They made these numbers up on their books, so no consideration was given. So between you and the bank, the consideration is the money, because the alleged money, the amount that you need to purchase that house. So you don't have $500,000 liquid right now to shoot over to the buyer. You need to go on to the bank and tell the bank, hey, I need $500,000 so I can go ahead and buy this house. Cool. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to loan you $500,000 or extend you credit for $500,000 in order for you to make that purchase. Okay, cool. Now, I'm relying on what the bank is telling me. So let's say, nonetheless, bank says, hey, we loaned you $500,000. Where's our money? You're supposed to pay this amount per month, and you haven't paid us. So guess what? We're going to take the house. Based on them saying that the consideration that was given was by means of their money. They loaned you or they extended to you. Consideration. And they created a note and a mortgage behind that dollar amount. Insured it, everything, right? So now we got to understand what consideration is. Now let's go to assurance. Go all the way up. Boop, boop, boop. All right, let's go up a little bit more. There you go. Assurance. Assurance. I don't think anybody knew that this word was even a word. There we go. I think we're coming up on it now. Assure. So assurance, further, covenant for. Seek covenant for further assurance. Well, let's see what assure means. To make certain and put beyond doubt. To declare solemnly, to assure to anyone with design of inspiring belief or confidence. To declare, aver, avouch, assert, or asseverate. Used interchangeably with insure in insurance law. In real property documents, it means a warranty. And in business document, generally it means a pledge or security. Now you remember when we went back to when we looked up 12. We're getting somewhere. Most of the time I'm just doing this kind of for myself. Hopefully you guys can keep up, and for the people I usually that's listening, that's not really typing in the chat but is listening. You know, we work on this stuff all the time, so hopefully you guys might be able to join in. I hate to be kind of truthful like that, but I know you guys aren't really doing this every day. You might have some idea, but just enjoy the ride. So if I come over here, right? What is this? 12 USC? No, I don't want that one. I want that one. I want that one. Where are we at here? All right. There we go. I want that one. Boom. There we go. Now, 12. Where'd it go? Commercial code 12. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to Title 12, and we coming right here. National banks, and we're gonna go to national banks 84 lending limits. Right. Okay. So we have it right here. Derivative transactions, repurchase agreement, reverse purchase agreement. Here we go. Right? All the things that it just named right there. So these are all insurance. This is why I typed in the ChatGPT those three things: Bills of Exchange Act, Uniform Commercial Code, and Federal Reserve System. Right? Those are the three things that pretty much are governing, you know what I'm saying, commerce and government at this time. I mean, it's governing government, actually. You know, because the Federal Reserve System is not a United States government entity. It is a subcontractor, I would say. Yeah. Now let's go over to money. Let's go over to money. 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 Here we go. Now, remember what the guy had said. He said that this was something that we thought it wasn't. In usual and ordinary acceptation, it means gold, silver, or paper money used as circulating medium of exchange, and does not embrace notes, bonds, evidences of debt, or other personal or real estate. So personal or real estate, it's not money. All debts must be paid in gold and silver. It doesn't say in real property or property. Not money. The term money is not of mere extensive signification, then money and means only cash and not things in action. The simple meaning of money is current coin. All right. So here's what we're talking about. If you're talking about consideration, right? Assurance and insurance, contract, failure of consideration. And that means the consideration would have to be money. Because if you gave me something, none of your business bank or Derek Bank or American Business Bank, and you said you're loaning me money, and there's no money, right? There's nothing but a note, a promise to pay, and a bill of exchange of some sort. Then how is that considered to be money? So are you loaning me money? That's the question. So what are you loaning me? Are you extending me credit, money? What is it? Which one is it? Then now you know what you're dealing with. That's why I say the roundabout thing is be like, as soon as I get approved for $500,000 to go purchase that house, cut me the check, please. Now you can actually open up the account. By all means, get your percentages. You could insure it, do whatever you need to do. You know what I'm saying? Do whatever you need to do. Just make sure I get my 1099s every quarter. And I'm going to go make this cash offer. And then I will do my own or you could do the transaction for me, no problem. But make sure that I see $500,000 in this account open up. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with saying that. Well, we can't do. Well, no, we got to no. $500,000 approved, right? Well, no, you need to find a house first. I found one. Well, let me see the contract. Why? I'm already approved for $500,000. Let me give you a scenario. If you get a credit card, $50,000, can you, as soon as you get that card, go swipe it? Yeah. Could you actually take that $50,000 on that card and make a purchase for $50,000? Yeah. Now, what's different with a loan? Because under 1284, it talks about loans and extensions of credit. It said and extensions of credit. So you got two different things. Let's play it out. I go into the bank. I go through all the process. I do everything. I don't even get all into my extra things. I know that I'm going to be approved for $500,000. Credit score good. Everything works out. I can show proof for this and that and so on and so forth. So I go ahead and get that done. Right? They say, yep, everything came back good. You are now approved for $500,000. Thank you. They give me the pre-approval letter, and I say, okay, what's next? What's next? What do I need to do? Well, all you got to do is find your house. And once I find the house, then the $500,000, would be I could then go purchase a house. Once I find a house, get it in contract, I go purchase the house, right? They say, well, yeah, well, first of all, you need to show us the contract. You need to make sure you got everything in order, so on and so forth. And we need to do X, Y, Z. Oh, yeah? For what? Oh, because, this note, this application you filled out, this, you got to pay back under these conditions. You got to pay us back with interest, do this and do that. And, we need to set up this old deed of trust is, we need to line that up. So make sure that you pay us back. And if you don't pay us back, we want to be able to attach this lien over on to the house that you eventually buy. Oh, okay. And that's proper, right? Right. And all this is going to be insured. Yeah, everything's going to be insured, so on and so forth. And yeah, that's how it's going to work. Well, I went through all the processes that you told me to do in regards to getting a loan for you to loan me money so I can buy this house. Yeah. And I'm trapping them right now. It's a trap. They say, yeah, well, yeah, we're loaning you this money. And yeah, but you got to have to pay it back. Oh, I got to pay it back? Okay, no problem. What are the terms and conditions? Can we do the terms and conditions right now? Can I take a look at that? Sure, no problem. All right, so if that's what we're doing, cool. I'll sign off on all that. Endorse it, everything. Boom, boom, boom. Everything done. Cool. All right. Anything else? No. All you gotta do, okay, can I get my pre-approval letter? Can I get my pre-approval letter or my what we call it? We call it proof of funds. Can I get my proof of funds? Yeah, no problem. All right, cool. Print me out my well, we just call it a pre-approval. I need a proof of funds. So when I go over there, they say, do you have the funds? Yep. Here's my proof of funds right here. Yep. You can call the bank, verify everything. Yep. Everything's verified. Yep. He has proof of funds, $500,000 for the house. Yep. He's been approved. All right, cool. We set up the contract, everything. Then What I do is tell the bank, cool, I found my house. Go ahead, drop the money in the account. We're going to open up an account. We're going to drop that money in there, right? Oh, well, no, we need to be, no, you don't. You don't need to be in there. All you need to do is deposit the money, open the account, put the money in the account, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to go pay that. It's a cash deal. I told him it's a cash deal. Well, no, it's financing. Yeah, you guys, yeah, we went through the process of financing it over here. It's done. You financed it, so put it in an account. And then I'll make sure I go over there and we'll create a cashier's check for $500,000, and I go pay them $500,000. See how simple that is? Well, no. See, they want to get their hands in it. If you get a credit card, if you get a loan for $20,000, the loan goes into your account. They open up you an account, and then they give you a card. So that's the same thing. Give me a card. Give me a bank card with a credit card emblem on it. $500,000 is in my account. I can then transfer the money over to the seller, and I get the house. Why do you need to be involved? I can handle my own affairs from this point forward. We already handled our situation. So what I'm doing is I'm separating the two. I have one transaction with them that's going to create a trust deed and a mortgage and a note, which is cool. I could deal with that. And then I got a contract over here with the seller. The bank is not selling me the house. So they have nothing to do with the house. All they're saying is, if you don't pay us back, we can lien up on the house. We need that $500,000. We need that property for $500,000 to secure this loan. So in order for you to get this money, that house is securing it, which gives them rights and titles and gives them tenancy on your land. But these are two separate transactions. In conclusion, hopefully I showed just for an example. Now, people might, you might not think like, man, that's just way over my head. I don't even understand that. Understand this. If I go to the bank, I'm going to the bank to receive some money or some credit or some funding or a loan to purchase something. Better yet, for my own personal and family use. Okay? Let's see if it's in here. Let's see if it's in here. One who uses economic goods so diminishes or destroys their utility opposed to producer. Ooh, that's what a consumer is in here. Interesting. But if I do something over here, right? I do something over here with the bank. That's one transaction. What I do with the funds should not be their business. If I need a $20,000 credit card or $50,000 and I'm approved for that, my money good, my credit is good, why are you worried about what I do with it? So once I do that, I already have an agreement, right? So once I have that agreement, then I could take that and say, okay, cool, put that in my account. And then I go buy the house. And then I set up my contract over here. Bank is not involved at all. And I say, hey, I want to buy this house. Cut check. Bam, here you go. I can negotiate where I want to negotiate it. I might have $500,000, but I might be able to get it for $450,000. I got $50,000 to fix up the house, whatever. I'm just saying, it's not out of the realm of trying to get a clear understanding of what is taking place instead of just being a yes man or yes woman and just going along with it and so worried about them saying no to you that you would just go along with it because you're in this desperate need to get something. Nothing but a question. At worst, if it gets to a place where they just saying, well, yeah, this is how you say, well, you telling me this is the only way it can get done. You ask the questions that protect your consumer rights. Is this the only way it can get done? Yes, it is. So you telling me if I don't do it this way, it can't get done? Nope. You already got it. You already got it. So, with that being said, would you say like when depositing a banker's note? Yeah. What about when you have a deposit slip from the bank deposit? Same thing. They already have access. They already have access to all of the things that they need based on what I showed earlier. What is considered, what is a certificate of indebtedness? What is a certificate? What do we know as certificates? That's what I'm saying. Under the circumstances, you know, we have other things that you know transpire in the realm of as the government as it is, you know. And I'm just giving you guys a couple things to look at and to understand, so that way, you know, kind of simplify your life a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get these things done. You see what I'm saying? What I'm doing right here is for the simple fact is, you know, creating a means of trying to get you guys to look at it from a different perspective and really try to get in control of your finances, your economics, and, you know, be a little bit more financially literate on how the system works in order to, you know, get an advantage or at least get on an equal playing field, get less on the debt side or the servitude side or the peonage side and get more on the solvent side / authority side, the trustor side, controlling, being in power. We all getting there, you know, but don't just sit back. You know what I'm saying? Work it out. People think that this is a one hitter quitter and you can get it done real fast. No, it's not that hard. I mean, it's not hard, but it's not easy as well, and it's not nothing that's going to happen overnight. You got to have some foundation in it. The first foundation is actually knowing who you are. If you don't know that, then, you know, that's going to be a difficult task in order to get a solution. Because then you're going to play victim all the time, you know. But under the circumstances, you know, hey, it is what it is. Hopefully you guys like that. Hope you guys appreciated that. I know I was all over the place today, but as you already know that, you know, we got to where we need to get to. So at the end of the day, you guys have a good one. I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here. I'm already at 341. See, I was running my mouth. I was at 230 something. Still didn't get it done. Dang. All right.
I'm the coach, quotes coded in oak with a ghost loaded focus. Chrome in the coat, king with the cloak, smoking that hocus pocus. Infinite styles, pivot and pile up the mileage. I'm wild with the science. You see the line on my avatar, iron jaw pride. I to devour the silence. Why you niggas steady lying? Got me laughing hard, satire and fraud. I fire the squad. Wise get crossed when I'm sparring with all the guards. Author of art, carving a mark in the bark of the market at large. Target the sharks, heart of a Spartan. I sharpen the margin with bars. You rather bargain and dodge. I'd rather you come get your taxes done. Black suit back, room facts in a stack. I'm relaxing the maximum. Get out of the pocket, the profit of rocket. Then I just might tax you punks. Bracket your funds, subtracting in chunks. Reacting to ashes, you're begging to punch. Sometimes my community hard-headed, scarred, dreading the lessons. I chart head and start spreading the message, embedded in pressure. Sovereign living, I'm private with it. No corporate percentage. Discharging debt with a pen stroke. You still don't notice the vision. I've been telling y'all you don't want to debate me. Weighty and ready. Great with machetes, linguistically shredding the petty. Grab these 15 acres. Landscape major, plan made paper. Land patent stamped and sacred since my campaign greater. I ain't talking about Ice-T when I say that I can show you law and order. Court recorder, I sort the torture, contort the border. I eat the case, beat the state, leave a trace of the raw supporter. Briefcase aura, got your baby mama thinking that I'm a lawyer. Seminole Indian sentiment, militant on sovereign soil. Private enrollment, tribal component. I'm the boss, you trying to employ it.
Clutch, baby. Infinite.